I remember James tweeted like 2 years ago when he took over. Somebody was like, "Hey, are you gonna make like Young Justice or like the Justice League cartoons kind of any inspiration?" And he's like, "Yeah, definitely." And it definitely shows in here. Also, if anybody's watched My Adventures with Superman, that was basically like a cartoon preview of what we got here.
Yeah.
It is almost, especially with what they did with his parents in Krypton, like
Holy shit, I didn't think about that.
there's a lot of shows that come out unrelated to the official project, and I'm just like, I always feel like, did anyone else not, like when the Wolverine came out and people were like, why is Wolverine in Japan? I'm like, did nobody see we just got like a 12 episode anime about this story? And the answer is no, because it was on G4 TV, and I was like one of 5 people that watched. So,
I love G4.
So G4 randomly had I think they had a Blade, Avengers, Iron Man, Punisher, and a Wolverine anime and an X-Men anime that was actually really good. And I was like, nobody knows. But then when I watched the Wolverine, I'm like, oh, this is that story. So watching this, I'm like, this is My Adventures with Superman, just big budget, down to like what they did with parents. I'm like, oh, we're going that route again, where they because I'm curious if they're gonna go bringing in because it wasn't exactly it was like a Brainiac bot in the show, but I'm curious if that is sins of the father coming to haunt him in this franchise afterwards, because that's kind of what. However, Lex may have dethroned Kendrick as the biggest hater. Like hate so pure that he started tearing up at the end. And then when we got to the whole, like, I like the way it started. It's like, hey, no backstories, which is fine. I don't need another backstory. Somebody said, I saw a tweet that was like, it feels like I got dropped into season 3, episode 17 of a CW show. And it's like, yeah, because we've had enough origins. We've seen enough iterations. In the last 20 years alone. We're on our 4th Spider-Man, 2 of them actively sharing a spot. We're about to be on our 6th Batman. We're on our 4th Superman. We're I think potentially on our 2nd Shazam. About to be.
Whoa! Are you breaking news?
No. I don't know anything, but I mean, if everybody's getting recasted.
Oh, okay.
Remember our last movie. We're about to be on our 3rd Flash. Because we're getting new people. Yeah, we had Ezra, we had Grant. Now we've got whoever else is gonna. We've gotten so many. We were on our 3rd Fantastic Four.
So we are on our 3rd Fantastic
Four. I don't need to see the spaceship. I don't need to see Uncle Ben get shot. I don't need to see Thomas and Martha get shot. I don't need to see the spaceship arriving to Kansas. The way the cartoon did it though, where like he was being followed as a baby in that ship, and they closed the portal in time to like kill whatever was chasing him. That was like a dope twist, and find out, Krypton actually were like total dicks, and they had this coming. He was just the last person they rescued, because they kind of realized, we earned our fate this time. I don't know if this is where this is going, but the fact that like Lex was in that room, hey man, Lex was calling plays like a football coach in the 4th quarter with 2 minutes left, ball possession and a fresh first down. Like he said, I heard he was singing 1A so much. I'm like, is Deco in the gang about to show up and save the day? Because goddamn.
Yo, so you're right, because he was sitting there G4. It was like he was playing Battleship with Superman.
Or Bingo. Right, and then the Bingo. It was like, and then,
I sucked your Battleship. Yeah.
So I will say, I know they cut it, but the way they did the way Crypto had his Kanye "I'm gonna let you finish" moment, I was like, they should have left in, because I know apparently people didn't react to it well, but I'm like, as evil as he was, you should have left it in. Apparently, there's like a cut of Lex like super socking Crypto, and they cut it from the film last minute. And I'm like, no, you could have left that in, because then what Crypto does at the end is like a good payoff as well as like a personal payback. And then, hey man, stop leaving y'all badass animals with people and then wondering why they don't want to watch them no more. That's because now,
there's a lot of things to unpack that we didn't necessarily get into, I think, the week before, because we didn't want to spoil it for anybody. But we going full spoilers today, guys. So go ahead, and if you ain't seen it by now, then you ain't a real fan and you don't really fuck with us like that. Just playing. But some of the things we'll talk about, like Was this a good intro to the new Supergirl? Was this a good one? I do we do, and help me understand. Okay, so Matt Reed, who the Flash, I guess, is no longer like we're just erasing that. Like we're gonna pretend that never happened.
Ezra Miller. We're going to pretend that Ezra Miller doesn't exist.
Well, they introduced the Supergirl. They introduced the Supergirl in Flash, and
that was already That
was
already
production. Are we talking Snyderverse or CW?
Not Snyderverse, not CW. I'm talking about the Flash with
DC. He's talking about DCEU. Before, like basically the Flash movie that was already in production before got there. So that really, it was just all he did was let him finish production and then put the movie out, because it literally was done prior to him getting there and becoming the CEO, him and Saffron. So they had already done pre-production for the Flash movie. It was the last movie that they had in the DCEU before it changed into the DCU.
Yeah, so it was Flash, and then they could have ended on that, but then they dropped Aquaman 2, which Aquaman has its own fan base, but I haven't seen it. Fair enough. But they introduced Supergirl as like basically an alternate timeline where she got to go, because the whole thing is they both got sent out, and her ship went ping off a rock and basically got sent in a different direction, but managed to, like, I think, age her slower. So she got there just later, but then they switched it to where she got there first, got locked away, and Clark, I guess, got found as a baby, and who knows what happened to him. He didn't survive. But that Flash, the whole Flash, that was my thing. I was like, y'all could have added a Flashpoint post-credit scene and cut to David Cornsweet and showing us we're somewhere different, so that way they at least merge. And the way Warner Brothers is moving, we've seen them constantly shoot themselves in the foot and blow off all toes individually. With Cavill coming back for, what was it, Black Adam?
Black Adam, yeah.
James recently said, he's like, that was the day I signed on to DC. I'm like, y'all could have, that was a fucking heads up, would have been nice. Like, because now he's like, now I look like an asshole saying, hey, I'm in charge and I'm going to recast everybody. What do you mean y'all said Henry Cavill's coming back? No one told me shit. Like, which,
well,
they've done that to people before. Kevin Conroy has a story about that.
Now, I have heard some rumblings about a conversation that James Gunn has had with Henry Cavill about possibly coming back to the DCU and having a different role. Now, I don't know, based off what Tafara just said, and the fact that we know that there is actually a multiverse that exists within the DCU, and why do we know that? Because what I'm seeing from James Gunn is the animated side of things. So let's reference that. So there was 3 Flashpoint movies that were done, 3 or 2. I think it was 3 though, that were animated, that are currently on HBO Max right now for your viewing pleasure. And that basically goes into the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor storyline. And if you don't know what that storyline is, you should watch the movie. I mean the movies for sure, because it introduces every DCU character that may or may not exist within the DCU moving forward. So you have, and when I tell you, there's every, like, you got the Spectre, you got Supergirl, Superman, all kind of iterations of him, Batman. You got his son, you got all of the bats, whether it's Batboy, Batgirl, Nightwing. You got, oh man, it's so many Wonder Woman. You got so many iterations, but I think that's what James Gunn is doing. Is he'll put out the animated version of something to, I guess, like kind of familiarize you with the story or where he's going with it, like he did with the Adventures of Superman, and then kind of transfer that storyline to live action, maybe.
Well, let me get some clarity here. Does James Gunn, did he have anything to do with the animated series? Because I thought those were out for a while.
No, they were out. They were out. That's what I'm just like, this is there, but they're I'm like, at least they're all in the same headspace, because like my Adventures with Superman mirrors in this movie mirror each other so well, along with feeling like an episode of Justice League Unlimited, because no introductions. It's just, hey, here's the gang. Here's Guy Gardner. Other people are showing up. We got a Suicide Squad over here. You got Peacemaker doing interviews, and like we don't got to flesh it out. We just know who everyone is. But the movie he's talking about is Flashpoint Paradox, which they kind of tied in other stuff, but like I'm like, was that even on purpose, or did y'all also just happen to be writing something similar? Because they write Flashpoint Paradox took the New 52, which was like the best animated universe, and then just ruined it for like fuck all reason. And then we go to a timeline where at the end of the day, like I get y'all wanted to kill everyone off, but it was the way they did it, which is Wonder Woman and Aquaman had an affair and got caught, and then the two side pieces fought, and now everyone else has to die because of it. That's basically the whole movie. And a few things changed, like Thomas Wayne is Batman because Bruce ended up getting shot in the alley. Mom became Joker. Obama's president, so of course he gets blamed for all the shit. But then Flash runs fast again and resets the timeline. Then they do the New Frontier where it's like Clark is Superman in hiding, and there's a bunch of alternate versions. Then they don't even tell you that's tied to the last movie. Then you have the recent ones that they had, which is
that's what I was talking about. The recent ones.
The
that's
crisis,
what I'm
the 3-part Crisis. Crisis, which is just
Crisis Jones,
which is just Justice League, which is just Justice League, the think tank, parts 1, 2, and 3. Only to find out the way that I like what they did with the multiverse. They were not the ones who should have done that, because the way they're like, hey, every animated series was a mistake. None of y'all were supposed to exist. We're erasing every timeline. You will all be merged into one. And the way they show them destroying the old the 60s Batman, the Justice League series, the 2003 Teen Titans world, everybody basically got clapped. And it's like, you all will now belong to one Earth. And then we find out, oh, this is Flash's fault because Darkseid is like a permanent point in time. And when you murdered him as an infant, it spiraled into this shit. And all of this happened because Constantine, for some reason, didn't touch Flash, and that could have prevented all of this, because he was like, yeah, he caused this. He caused the Flashpoint. And I was like, he tried to tell y'all this for like months, and y'all didn't listen. And it literally took an ET like touch to figure this shit out.
Yo, you bringing up a lot of memories right now, because I stayed into that CW verse as long as I could, man, and woo. It didn't end as well as I would have liked. But here's something I thought was interesting, guys. While we're talking about DC, James Gunn was asked about Batman, and let's hear what he had to say about it.
Ask about Batman. We just talked a little bit about it. As you plan ahead, you've got Supergirl, got Clayface coming up. We will see Batman in The Brave and the Bold, but might we see him earlier? And what kind of costume will Batman wear? Will we bring back the black and the gray?
Listen, I have no idea what Batman's going to wear. All I know, listen, what I know for sure is what is right in front of us. Peacemaker season 2 comes out in a month. That's directly connected to the events of Superman, directly connected to some of the characters in Superman are now in regulars in Peacemaker. Then we go into Supergirl and Lanterns, next summer.
You're going to have all 3 Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner.
And Guy Gardner, okay. That's right. Cool. And it's basically, John Stewart's story in a lot of ways, but it's with those other characters. And then we got Clayface we're making, which is like a totally different thing. Although it's in the same universe, it's a complete horror film. And that's one of the things that we want to do is this isn't like, there's not a company style. It's not like every movie is going to be like Superman. The original, the artists and the directors and the writers that create each one will bring their own sense to it. Just like I'm looking at all your comics over here.
Thanks, man.
Right? And those are all, look at how tonally different, how different Superman looks in those things. Look how tonally different the stories are, the way they look. And so it's like, that's what we want to bring to the films, because we don't want people being bored.
I got to ask
shots fired. If I heard so many direct references to his competitor, You tell me if I'm tripping, but I heard subtle shots being fired, not necessarily like, yo, take this, Marvel, but like, hey, it's not going to look all the same. Every movie isn't the same. It's not, because who does that? Who does that so much?
Well, DC
right?
did that so much for a minute.
I
don't know if your direction of the shot is to the right. I think he's more speaking to the point of, like, I'm trying to do something different than because if you realize what DC fans were complaining about, it was the fact that everything was being so regurgitated over and over and over again, and it wasn't done well. So it's like, all right, we did just a Justice League movie, then we turn around and do another Justice League movie that's longer than the first Justice League movie, which really was the final straw for DC fans. Like that is it. When I talk to DC fans, that is the argument that, like, the Snyderverse ruined DC. It's like, well, when you have a 3.5 hour movie and then a 4.5 hour movie, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but not really.
I missed one. I missed the first Wonder Woman film, and I probably need to go back and look at it. So when I watched Wonder Woman 84, I'm like, this was just Bruce Almighty, like, which is like one of my top 5 movies. But I'm like, this is just Gal Gadot and Bruce and not Jim Carrey. But I could also, kind of like to what I was saying about the convention stuff, I've seen enough behind the scenes, and I think he's seen enough back there. But from his perspective, where he understands how that stuff ends up, and he wants to try to build something different. So I don't think it was a shot, but I think he's just like, I've seen behind the scenes how we end up in the same position so much. Because like what he did with Guardians, which is technically like a no-name team when they gave it to him, and now everyone's caring, everyone's got these stories and these dynamics, and then they're just like, by the way, then they fired him, come back for Guardians 3, it's like, by the way, we killed off your girl, have fun figuring that shit out. Which I think that's also why he's like, hey, I'm not taking over Batman, but like, I at least want to give this stuff to people I trust to just like, hey, tie it in here, but by all means do what you want, which I think is what Warner Brothers told when he did Suicide Squad, like, hey, budget, crew, go crazy. And it worked out in this favor, but I think he's going to do a good job of showing that same grace to others, where it's like, no, I need it like this. Like, no, I trust you. Go ham, fam. It's just going to be different, trying to differentiate what style of Batman you want while actively having Robert Pattinson's Batman out, which feels like we're getting a young version of the Greatest Detective. So Brave and the Bold, I feel like we might move more to the Bat Family blue suit era.
Well, I mean, so much to unpack. I still think that maybe he's not taking shots at Marvel. You guys give a good point. Yeah, DC had some very similar type of content, but in my opinion, like overall, in the overall arc of DC content, it was not. Well, I guess if you include the CW verse, then maybe it does get very carbon copy. But I was thinking more like Watchmen, Peacemaker, Suicide Squad. Like these things don't all have the same type of feel to them. Whereas any Marvel movie, you watch the movie and watch the show on Disney Plus, and they have that same feel, that same cadence, that humor plus action, that no blood, and we're going to go risque, and it's going to be inclusive, and like there's a model, there's basically a template. Like I feel like with DC, is saying like no, we ain't going that route. One of the things that was most illustrative, in my opinion, of that was when he talked about Clayface. Clayface is going to be a horror, which means it better be rated R+ or NC-17. And the fact that they be willing to go that route, and I know Deadpool, I get it, blah, 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 Logan, maybe, but I know all of that. But that's because of crass humor, violence. If we're talking horror, if we're talking heads ripped off, stabbings, if we're talking like gratuitous gore, then that's somewhere that Marvel has yet to go. Unless we're talking Hit Monkey, right? Yes. So I love the differentiation between the different genres underneath these comic book brands, and so I'm geeked about that. But to kind of go back to the whole CW verse, I wasn't too upset with the Flashpoint, them bringing all that in, and with him like doing this whole thing with not killing off a girl. Let's not forget, James Gunn was fired. Why? Because of a tweet, right? That was immature, if anything, at best. And so for him to find new life over here at DC, he's not just going, I believe, to go and be like, oh, I'm gonna make new stuff. Like he wants to bring Marvel to the realization, like, look, y'all should never ever mess with me. He should. I feel like that's underneath his skin. But why not go with Pattinson? Why not just why in the realm of continuity? Why introduce a new Batman? Why do we have to go brave and bold? Why not just merge these worlds? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know everybody doesn't love Pattinson, but I want 100% guarantee that whoever they introduce, people ain't gonna like him. All right, and they're also gonna be like, well, what do we? All right, we got Batman 2 coming out, and now we got a new Batman in Brave and Bold. Like, is this really the direction we want to go in? Jump ball. Anybody speak out? Anybody?
I think because that was all in the works before he got there, and Warner Brothers will just blow their own feet off. I think he didn't want to kneecap that crew. I think because him and Matt Reeves are friends as well. So what he doesn't want to do is feel like, no, now you got to rework your vision to fit mine in this overarching story. He wants to, especially now that they've got a TV show and a movie out, because the Penguins actually got a lot of nominations too.
Yes, 24.
Yeah, shout out to that. Shout out to that whole crew, man. Didn't have to do my boy Vic like that, but
I think he's still around. Me personally, I think he's still around.
I would hope, because but giving them the freedom, like, hey, you can exist, and I'm not, because that's usually what happens when new people take over. Like when you hear people saying like, oh, I'm gonna get green the first show, or I get a reboot, and there's like it never happens. That's what happens. Somebody new takes over. It's like, no, I need stuff that I can get credit for and attach to my name. Whereas James is like, I know what that's like. I'm not gonna do that over here. So I think giving them that, whereas it's gonna be a Bat family story, which kind of gives us room to take a different approach, because Pattinson is a young Batman. That is Batman year one, still wet behind the ears and learning.
Right.
Whereas we can take a gritty and adult person.
True.
And I can very much see, and this is probably the one good thing that game did, if that Suicide Squad game, I can very much see Superman just like nagging him to join the Justice League until he finally folds, and that's how they become a team. So I'm good on, but yeah, I think they probably want to call Batman. They will probably call it the story. It'll probably be Under the Red Hood, Brave and the Bold, Court of Owls, just so that one can remain Batman 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Also, justice. Thank God, justice for Darwin, because finding out this dude, He said it. He's like, when I was filming X-Men, and they're like, you die first. He's like, we're kind of playing into a trope, aren't we? And it's like, don't worry. He's like, we'll bring you back. He's like, and that was the day I knew I was done.
Yeah, it was really bad, and especially being the first mutant when we're getting reintroduced to like the whole concept of the X-Men coming back, and now he's got to go, and these are like these all-powerful beings, and he just dies. Well, over the subject. I'm hopeful, that the DC universe, if anything, at bare minimum, like Ty always likes to point out, is giving Marvel the competition that they very much
That's
need.
what I've been saying for like the entire month. We're in the position we're in because Marvel's run without we're back to healthy competition as to this month, and it's necessary. So whatever, you gotta stop with the Fantastic Four teasers. I feel like I've been told too much at this point. Like, I get it, the movie, my tickets are purchased. I don't need to see shit else. Please stop. But the Fantastic Four coming out super fantastic July, and also the Smurfs.
I can't Smurf and wait.
I'm like, yeah, it's what was the people were called Super Jurassic 4 is what they were calling July.